Me, 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 me. Me, 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 me.
Oh my god, I gotta make a video.
Plants vs. Zombies 2 has a massive wave of fan games. Some of them excellent, like Reflourish or Gardenless, and others, well, the less said the better. 2 videos ago, I covered Gardenless, and I still stand by what I said then. It's a fantastic fan project, especially if you're looking for a faithful PC port of PVZ 2 with a lot of depth, but after finishing the game, I realized I wanted to explore beyond the usual. I was starting to feel a bit burnt out on PVZ 2 in general, so I turned my attention to the modding scene for the original Plants vs. Zombies. We were planted on the horizon, a project I am eagerly anticipating. I wanted something to fill that gap. Naturally, I dove into the world of PVZ1 mods. There's not much of a shortage of them, trust me. PVZ Fusion is by far the most well known, and there are plenty of charming, whimsical projects that I'll likely explore in the future. But one fangame in particular stood out to me: Plants vs. Zombies Beautiful Town. What makes Beautiful Town so impressive is that it's a work of essentially one creator, Otaku Radish. He handled the art, animation, and the programming himself, with translations contributed by Pora, Yo Fahrenheit, Mysterio, and Runeblade09, and music composed by Hans147. The first thing to note is that Beautiful Town doesn't follow the traditional PvZ level structure. In the mainline games, levels are unlocked sequentially, with mini-games and challenges appearing as you progress. Here, that formula is abandoned in favor of open choice. You can immediately dive into 6 distinct categories: Endless, Test Levels, Challenge, Versus Mode, and 2 separate sandbox modes. Endless and Sandbox are straightforward, but the other categories are where the game's unique identity shines. The test levels, for instance, are divided into different environmental themes: day, night, pool, dual day, and dual night. The dual maps in particular are something special. They mirror the lawn into 2 separate battlefields that you must defend simultaneously. It's a deceptively simple twist that forces you to split your attention and resources in ways no official PvZ game or fangame has ever required. It's challenging, but not in a cheap way. It demands strategy, not just reflexes. That's what I find most refreshing about Beautiful Town. Many fan projects, and even official titles like PVZ 2, tend to hit quite differently with overwhelming the player with endless hordes of zombies. It's less about strategy and more about brute force survival. Beautiful Town makes the opposite approach. Its zombies are tough, yes, but they're designed with complexity and counterplay in mind. For every strong zombie, there are equally intricate plants, and vice versa. Unlike PVZ 2, where many plants feel simply overpowered, Beautiful Town adds layers of nuance. Powerful plants often come with trade-offs, whether that's a high sun cost, a unique mechanic you have to manage, or consequences even for using them too early. This creates a natural ebb and flow in the gameplay. The longer levels give you enough time to prepare, build resources, and decide whether investing in those high-cost plants is worth the gamble or not. These plants and zombies aren't pigeonholed into rigid counter roles, if that makes sense. A plant may be especially effective against a certain enemy, but it won't stop there. It will often have multiple utilities or synergistic uses. That flexibility makes the game feel alive and strategic, which is exactly what I want in a game, rather than locked into a simplistic rock, paper, scissors type of game. With the groundwork of the gameplay explained, let's turn to the real highlight and the reason you guys clicked on this video. There are 71 plants in total, and I separated them into 7 categories. We have mushroom, support, poison, explosive, energy, magic, and cosmic. There are a lot of new plants that don't really fit one category in specific, but don't worry. I'll be talking about those as well, obviously. No plant will be ignored. I'll be ranking them from the beginning to the end of the plant selection you see in the game. In terms of statistics, I'll list their damage per cycle speed compared to a basic pea shooter, and of course, I'll be talking about what it does and its description. Let's just get straight into it. We'll start with the mushrooms. I gotta say, they're pretty unique, especially the second to last one. I'll get to that in a bit. I'll be saying that a lot, by the way. I'll start with Punishroom. When a mushroom on its lane is destroyed, it'll shoot a heavy projectile that deals 500 damage. That's pretty effective. I mean, 500 damage is enough to insta-kill a Buckhead zombie or a Z-Tech sentry bot in this game. The sentry bot is so annoying, so this is very worth it. But the thing is, the Punishroom is very situational. Think of Sour Sharp for PVZ 2. Like mentioned, a mushroom needs to be destroyed. A situational plant like this, I don't really see myself using much. But the thing is, it only costs 25 sun. So it's not horrible, making it an okay backup. Speaking of okay, I'm gonna put it in okay. Who would have known? Next, we have the Shroom of Thunder. He's really cool looking. I love his design. But I'm gonna be honest. Unfortunately, he's not a very good plant to me. He attacks one singular zombie, dealing massive lightning damage. Yes, the damage is a lot, a whopping 400, but the problem is that its cycle speed is very slow, and the range too. I don't think it's that worth the 250 sun cost. It only targets singular zombies that are close. Its heavy damage is its highlight, so I'm gonna put it in OK tier. Next we got Smooshroom. This one's pretty good actually. This is one melee plant of so many in this game. It launches a rapid wave of 12 attacks, dealing 40 damage each in a very fast cycle speed on all zombies on the tile in front of him, dealing blunt damage. It can stun smaller zombies as well, which is a plus. Its only problem is that its cooldown is pretty slow, but apart from that, I think it's effective for certain night levels. It's just a little dangerous to have a plant that depends on being up close, which can apply to a lot of these upcoming plants as well. Good tier. Cube Shroom. I didn't find myself using him that much. I don't really see why. Fume Shroom is less sun and has the same cycle speed and damage. He honestly plays exactly the same except his group reduces movement speed. But what makes it good is that if you use both him and Fume Shroom together, I believe it's a perfect combo. Lowering movement speed is crucial in this game, at least in my eyes, especially when dealing with zombies like the newspaper zombie, which is very common in these night test levels. Also, for some reason, it also has more health than Fume Shroom. It has 500 rather than 300, so that's a plus. I'm gonna put it in good tier. It is too similar to Fume Shroom, but its extra feature and extra defense gives it more of a reason to use it. Next is, I think, one of the more unique plants. Well, there are two, but I'm going to combine them both as they need to synergize in order for either to work. King Lactarius and the Lactarius Guard. Oh my god, I said Lactarius and Lactarius. Okay, so, how do they work? Well, King Lactarius costs 400 sun. Yeah, 400. A night plant too. He has 1000 health, technically making him a slight defense plant. He better have 1000 health with how much he costs. When planted, he will summon Lactarius guards in the 4 adjacent tiles and boost the attack power of all mushroom plants by 30%. This is all he does though. For 400 sun? So what do these Lactarius guards do? They shoot short-range projectiles, but that's not all it does. It can also perform melee attacks, dealing piercing damage. Both types of damage does minus 40 health. On top of that, it's resistant to certain types of damage as well. Okay, yes, the Lactarius Guard does sound fairly effective, but without the Lactarius King in the lawn, you can't plant it at all. You have to depend on this 400 sun cost plant for it. That doesn't even do that much since summoning these Lactarius Guards and boosting mushrooms by a slight percentage. These guards are fairly effective, which is why I won't put it in bad or doggy water, so I'll put it in meh. I just think the sun cost is too much and it's really not that worth it really. There are way better options. We're straying away from the mushrooms now and paying attention to one of my favorite plants in the game, the Spiky Shooter. He's so silly. He shoots 3 mid-range thorns that can penetrate multiple zombies on a lane, dealing 20 damage each thorn with a pretty fast cycle speed. Think like Cactus from PVZ 2. I think this is a pretty effective plant when there are multiple groups of zombies in a lane. There's nothing necessarily complex about it, and it can't be placed on water, but I find myself using this plant a lot. With this, I'll be planting it in good tier. See what I did there? I'm not going to put it in the great tier, but that's because I'll be giving it to its upgrade. Thorny Terror. When placed on Spiky Shooter, like Gadanapy or Repeater, its cycle speed is incredibly fast, with an extra 5 damage each thorn. When these thorns penetrate zombies, they can scatter across multiple lanes. Yeah, you can see why this was exactly going on great tier, on top of Spike Shooter. Next, we have our first defense plant, Fern Stand. Costing 50 sun, it carries a shield that can block up to 5,000 damage, 1,000 more from Walnut. Walnut now costs 25 sun in the game for some reason. With a 30-second cooldown, Fern Stand has a 30-second cooldown too. I mean, what doesn't damage does a bizarre difference, at least in my opinion. It does have the highest health compared to the other defense plants down the list, though Tawna continues to have the highest. Fern Stand is just okay, in my opinion. He doesn't do that great against the higher health zombies, so I don't use him that much. I'll put him in the okay tier. I honestly see myself using Walnut more due to its less sun cost, even if it's a 25 sun difference. Maybe even both, since there's no imitator to mimic either plant, so I could just use one or the other. But Venture is an example of a plant that's a little different from the others. It's neither an offense or defense plant. It's similar to a low, except it doesn't heal. It can increase the speed and attack power of any melee plant in front of it. It's a cute plant, and it honestly speeds melee plants up pretty effectively. I think support plants are very effective, and since this game is overwhelmed with melee plants, Bud Venture makes a wonderful use. There is another plant that I believe one-ups Bud Venture with a similar mechanic, therefore I'm not going to put it in amazing or great, but it's still going to go below in the good tier. The Podfather. What a peak name. I'm actually going to give it brownie points just because the name is cheesy, but amazing at the same time. So, it's kind of like Bud Venture, but for pea plants. Within the 3x3 area, every pea plant around him will be granted an HP and attack boost in a normal speed cycle. It's a little hard to know which one's better, as they both have pros and cons. The Podfather could affect many plants in an area, with Bud Venture strictly only being able to heal the one in front of him. Though, I believe the Bud Venture's cycle speed is way faster, and there are so many more melee plants than pea plants. The reason why I'm going to put it in the good tier as well, most of all though, is the fact that there are two pretty overpowered pea plants that synergize perfectly with the Podfather. Therefore, it deserves its place here. Now we have a plant that I believe one-ups both the Podfather and Bud Venture completely, and is our first amazing tier plant, the Orchid. The Orchid is pretty simple. It increases the attack speed of all plants within the 3x3 area. Yeah, every plant in the lawn, within the entire area practically. This is a plant I use a lot, and kinda gives the Bud Venture in particular less of a purpose, although to be blunt, Bud Venture is 150 sun less, which is why I'd use him sometimes too. But the fact that the Orchid has no limits to what plant it can speed up really establishes its usefulness. With this, welcome to being the first amazing tier in the game. Next is pretty much the yellow of this game, but better. Dreamland Cotton. It's a shell plant, similar to Pea Vine or Shine Vine in PVZ 2, but it can be placed on top of the plant rather than below. It can restore the HP of any plant, also increasing its physical damage resistance for a short time. I use this plant a lot on my Ton Nuts, Fern Stands, etc., healing them whenever they're vulnerable, which I think is fantastic. The plant does have a 30-second cooldown, but that doesn't hide the fact that it's a wonderful plant. It'll have a nice, comfortable place in the great tier. Pea Patch, pretty much a rip-off Pea Vine, on the other hand, isn't necessarily as effective as those three other booster plants, unfortunately. When placed on a Pea plant, it only slightly increases the attack speed. I don't think it's that worth it when you have a better alternative like the Podfather, which boosts not just attack speed, but HP as well. It does have a lower sun cost, and using both Pea Patch and the Podfather is perfect synergy for any pea plant, I guess. But with this, I'm gonna place it in the OK tier. Sorry, Pea Patch. Now I'm gonna rank two plants together as they're pretty similar. Bamboo Bombard and Dragon Cannon. Amazing names, by the way. They both shoot powerful, long-range projectiles in a slow pace towards zombies on their respective lanes, as well as having a long cooldown time once shooting. Bamboo Bombard costs 200 sun, with Dragon Cannon costing 400. As mentioned, I never really liked plants that cost a lot of sun, but I believe they are pretty worth it, with Bamboo Bombard dealing 160 damage, with Dragon Cannon dealing 120. As you can see, the plant that costs lowest does more damage. I have no idea why that's the case. It seems like Bamboo Bombard even does extra damage to zombies with armor, so I'd honestly use Bamboo Bombard more than Dragon Cannon. Maybe I'm missing something, I just find it unusual. Maybe Dragon Cannon does do more splash area damage, I think, and Bamboo Bombard doesn't, so that's a plus? I'm not really so sure. I'm honestly gonna put both of them in the good tier, with Bamboo Bombard considered a way better plant overall, at least personally. Next up, the Mango Queen Flower. She's literally got shotguns on her hands that attacks a single target in front and 2 additional nearby targets, dealing 40 piercing damage each attack. The closer the zombie is, the higher the damage. A portion of the damage dealt ignores armor, believe it or not, similar to poison damage. This is a pretty effective plant, I would say. It only has a 7-second cooldown and costs the same as a repeater, 200 sun, making it a fairly effective plant in my opinion, and cheap too. Its cycle speed is sorta slow, which gives it a disadvantage, but we can't ignore the high damage it causes for such a low sun cost. Therefore, it deserves its spot in, you guess it, great tier. Hollow Reef is quite the interesting plant, and honestly has one of my favorite premises. It's a shell plant, and when placed on a plant, the plant enters a holographic state. When it is on this state, It cannot be attacked at all. I think this is pretty useful to protect important or high sun cost plants like the Dragon Cannon or King Lactarius. I don't really count it as a defensive plant though. When a plant becomes holographic, a zombie can go right through it, which can be considered a problem sometimes. I would rather use something like a tall nut, though this depends on the situation, as it's still a good plant to save a plant considered precious on the lawn, especially with how easily you can lose these plants when it comes to some of these zombies. I'll put it in the good tier. Trust me, the next shell plant makes this plant look amazing. This plant is the Blood Reef. This plant is really bad. I can never ever see myself using this plant for any situation. Why exactly? Well, when it's placed on a plant, it can greatly increase the speed of any ground plant on its tile. Yeah, that's great, but here's what makes it dog water. They will lose a percentage of health per second. What is the point of using this plant if it's gonna slowly kill whatever plant you place it on? It's literally a gamble, it's a 50-50. Yeah, your plant gets immensely sped up, but it's gonna die in like a minute, maybe even a few seconds depending on the health. I've tried to use it for certain situations, but I literally don't see why it's worth using it in any way. 75 sun cost, so it's not even worth using for any situation really. 75 sun cost, to me, with how bad the plant is expensive. With that, we have our first doggy water plant. Congratulations. But believe it or not, this is not the first plant that can damage other ones in the lawn. Miraculous shit, what a wonderful piercing plant. It performs long range attacks, dealing 20 damage per cycle. These attacks can reduce the piercing damage resistance of any target, as well as attacking all zombies one tile behind as well, which is pretty new. The only one that can do that in this game, apart from the ones that will come in the future, is Split Pea. Its cycle speed is very fast. A fast 20 damage plant that can also reduce resistance and hit zombies from behind as well as having 500 health compared to the usual 300 health plants. This is a great plant. Don't get me wrong, it does have a 30-second cooldown, but I guess it would be crazy if it didn't have some sort of limitation, right? Great tier. This next plant is pretty complex. Kind of. It's almost one of my favorites, believe it or not. It introduces a theme you'll see in this game. Animal-related plants, especially Jurassic ones. There's a set of them, and this is one. And I love him. The Triceratops. I love dinosaurs, and I love plants versus zombies. Boom. Combine them, it's a perfect plant. So, what does this silly guy do? It has two states, similar to Mangophar from PVZ 2, but like, actually good, and actually interesting, and actually awesome. Anyways, offensive and defensive. In its offensive state, it can perform melee attacks, another melee plant, that deals physical damage and applies a disability effect to any target, which reduces a zombie's movement speed, piercing damage, resistance, and cutting damage resistance. When you click it to switch to its defensive state, it can reduce whatever damage is taken by 25%, becoming immune to instant kills. The best part? For each Triceratops on the same column, it'll be granted self-damage resistance. You can see why it's considered complex and why I love it. I love this plant completely. I find myself using it a lot over the fact that it can not only counter instant kill, but deal so much damage as well. With that, I'm gonna place it in the amazing tier right next to Arcade. I think it handles the switching from two different states wonderfully. I like Frostbunnet from PVZ 2 kind of due to its unique mechanic, and the Triceratops is no exception. Speaking of animal themed plants, we have our next, the snake grass. Mwah. This one's another unique plant mechanically. Another melee plant, no surprise there. It deals both poison and cutting damage. When it's fatally injured, it will retreat to a tile behind and restore all of its HP. You can plant multiple snake grasses on top of each other. The limit is 3 heads. Think of it like Peapod from PVZ 2. If it has more than one head and is unable to retreat to restore its HP, it will lose a head in order to restore its health. It does 30 damage each attack, but a kind of fast cycle speed. So in total, if you have 3 heads, it can do 90 damage. I just love it mechanically. I love how unique these plants are. And with a simple 100 sun cost and a simple 7-second cooldown, I would say it's a little better than the Make Look Low Chid, placing it in the great tier next to it. Now we have a more simple plant, the Super Melon Black Hole. Okay, the name doesn't sound very simplistic and it's kind of goofy, but mechanic-wise, it's great. It's an instant plant. When placed, it'll create a black hole, and zombies on a single tile will be drawn in and destroyed. One would say Cherry Bomb, Squash, or Potato Mine are way better instant kill plants, but in this game, that's way different. Those 3 listed can't instant kill certain zombies anymore, believe it or not. But the Dark Superman and Black Hole thing can literally automatically kill these, including our Gargantuar, as well as the Dark Knight, and a quarterback zombie, which are two very powerful zombies. I find myself using this insta-kill plant practically every game I play in order to counter these zombies. It'd be a little stupid not to put this up in the amazing tier. I love you, Superman and Black Hole. You're not gonna believe who the next plant is. Another melee plant. Whoa, my mind just blew up. My mind is actually blown. Tiger grass. No, not tiger grass from PVZ 2. It's very different design-wise, and I think it came out before the PVZ 2 version, believe it or not. A lot of these other plants are from PVZ Heroes mostly, fun fact. But anyways, tiger grass can damage zombies in a 1x3 area. But here's the unique part. In a 3x3 area around him, if the number of female plants is greater than that of male plants, his attack speed increases. So I don't know why it does this. I did have some trouble finding out who is female or male. I'm a little stupid. So some plants don't have a gender at all actually. But in the almanac, it tells you if it's female or male. I thought that was cute. Honestly, I do believe the snake grass is much better and more interesting, but I can't pretend like this plant isn't good either. It does 5 more damage in snake grass, 25, but it costs 250 sun rather than 100 with a 30-second recharge. With this, I'll put it in the same tier as snake grass, but I gotta say, snake grass is a little better mechanically and more interesting. Another new dinosaur plant, literally peak plant design, the Velociraptor Hunter. These are the kind of plants I like, just silly names with silly designs and silly puns. Similar to King Lecterius and the Lecterius Guard, the Velociraptor Hunter combos with the Velociraptor Hatchling, which is a cute little baby version of the Hunter plant. They perform melee attacks, no surprise there. The Hatchling only costs 100 sun, dealing 35 damage and a sort of fast cycle speed. Each Velociraptor, Hatchling or Hunter, within a 3x3 area can synergize, granting itself 25% more attack power. The Hunter costs 300 sun, dealing a whopping 100 damage. Each Hunter place can reduce a Hatchling's sun cost by 10. This is great synergy between both plants I've ever seen in a PVZ game, and I feel like this is a way better King Lecterius and Lecterius Guard. It's pretty much what it should have been. I'm gonna put them in a great tier with its other fellow melee plants that I can join in. A melee family. With all these animal plants, our next plant, the Aubergine Offering, can boost any animal plant. When any animal plant is planted on top of it, it can increase that plant's HP. Not just that though. When planted, if there's a 3x3 area around its location with only Aubergine offerings or the plants affected by it, the plants in the area will be sacrificed and create the Aubergine, which has 10,000 HP and 1,000 damage. Crazy, I know. The thing is, it's pretty slow and it does disappear after some time and it just stays in one lane. I don't have a choice but to put this one on great as well though. This synergizes great with the other animal plants, and it's hard to ignore how crazy the Aubergine truly is when you spawn it. Our next plant is quite unusual. His name is @AlmiPomi whatever gamer. Yes, like a gamer tag. That's on purpose though. It fires long-range sound waves, firing insults as it deals 50 damage per cycle. It's not translated in the game that I'm using, but I'm pretty sure these are swear words. Oh, what a big deal. When a zombie is hit, its movement and attack speed will increase. Yeah, that's kind of stupid. This plant is pretty bad. I don't recommend any sort of plant like this that can bring consequences to the lawn. A football zombie or a newspaper zombie can immediately demolish a lane with how fast it gets due to the stupid plant. I don't think the high damage is worth it. This puts @PomGamer as the first plant in the bad tier. Sorry, buddy. This apple is simple. This is like the shortest segment I'll have for any plant. Zombies I eat here cannot attack at all. It costs 25 sun with a 30-second cooldown. Easy plant to use for zombies, especially newspaper zombie as he's pretty scary once his newspaper breaks and he can eat all of my plants in a lane. Okay tier. Now we've reached my favorite category of plants, kind of. My second at least. The magic plants. I can go ahead and put the first magic plant, the Sorcerer Rose, in the great tier. She casts long-range magic projectiles that can deal 40 damage at a slow pace. Sometimes though, she can cast larger projectiles that be efficient, and the fact that she has a chance to deal such high damage is what puts her in this tier in the first place. And she's super cool looking. The next one, Citrus Magnus. He's adorable. He's similar to Sorcerer Rose, except he only does 20 damage and can decrease the target's resistance to magic damage. I mean, by itself, I don't really think it's worth it, but with Sorcerer Rose, the fact that it can decrease the zombie's resistance is pretty useful, giving it great synergy with other magic plants. Apart from that, a 20 damage slow plant isn't that worth it. Therefore, it's going in okay. Lumos Lotus is incredibly fast, shooting 40 long-range magic projectiles towards zombies, each dealing 15 damage. Its damage is effective, but the problem is that it needs to be charged before attacking. It can also be planted in water though, which is a plus when using it in pool levels. I do think Rose will stay as my top magic plant, although Lumos Lotus' quick speed deals great damage with how much it throws at certain zombies. Its cooldown, I believe, is negative, therefore going below great tier because of it on the good tier. I thought Runic Leaflet was related to the Lumos Lotus in some way. They both have similar designs and color palettes, but turns out the only similarities they have in terms of mechanics on the lawn is that they're both magic plants. This is pretty much the Budventure of magic plants. It can increase the attack power of all magic plants by 20% of their original attack power. This isn't necessarily too much. For example, Rose attack power would go from 40 to 48. Citrus Magnet's attack power would go from 20 to 24. And the Lumos Lotus attack power goes from 15 to 18. Here's the thing, this amount will increase the more runic leaflets are on the lawn. I don't specifically know but how much, but technically if you overroam the lawn with a lot of runic leaflets, a group of Sorcerer Roses would be unstoppable. I think it's fair to put him in the good tier with the Budventure and the Podfather. I love these booster plants like I said. They're what I believe are one of the most unique parts of the game. We're moving on from the magic plants and now concentrating on two different categories of plants now. 3 night related plants and 3 mecha related plants. First of the night plants we have the Sunflower Knight. It's another melee plant that deals 100 damage per slow hit. It has melee and physical damage resistance. And within a 3x3 area with the tile behind her as its center, each sunflower planted will increase its attack power by 25% and 20% more resistance. It only costs 150 sun with a 30-second cooldown. It has a lot of health too, 500. It has a really slow cycle speed. It's kind of what prevents it from getting so high in the tiers, unfortunately. Especially when its cooldown is pretty slow as well. Good tier. Yes, another good tier plant. Don't judge. Now we have another sunflower plant. Princess Solaria. Look how cutesy she is. She's a sunflower plant that can grant any melee plant a slight attack bonus in certain intervals. It also grants all night plants, this includes the Sunflower Knight and the plant after this one, bonus resistance. Also being able to stack with multiple of the same plant on the lawn, up to 3 times. It does have a heavy sun cost, 300, and a long cooldown, 30 seconds, but it does synergize well, especially with this next plant, the Pea Patrol. With the same sun cost and cooldown, it has 1200 health and can shoot large-sized peas at zombies on its lane, as well as performing melee attacks when a zombie gets too close. Both the peas or the melee attack doing 60 damage. Its sun cost can be reduced by 150 and recharge time halved as well when the number of pea plants on the lawn is greater than or equal to 10. This is one of my most favorite plants. It's my second favorite pea plant actually. Yes, second. You'll see what I mean later. And with how effective Princess Solaria can be with it, forget it. Princess Solaria can be put on the great tier with Pea Patrol on top of it and amazing. The next trio of plants, the mecha ones, are a little different. Similar to the Pomi Gamer and the horrible Blood Reef, there are consequences to your own team using these plants. Let's start with the Mecha Pea Shooter. I'm not gonna lie, in hindsight, this plant is good, technically. Only costing 125 sun, its pea causes explosive damage, 40 damage to be exact. These peas can target all the zombies around its lane as well. But here's the crazy part. If it's eaten, it will literally explode and deal damage to all plants in a 3x3 area, making this plant incredibly risky. This is a plant you'll have to keep all the way in the back. Even then, I feel like this risk is too much to ignore. Having this metaphorical bomb that can detonate at any second brings it down a tier. At least in my opinion. I'll put it in the okay tier. There's a Mecha Sunflower who has the same premise. It gives additional sun compared to a normal sunflower, 350 sun in 7 cycles, but after almost 2 minutes, it will self-destruct. I honestly think this plant is pretty bad. There's literally no point in using it compared to Sunshroom or Sunflower. It even has low sun production in the daytime, which just makes it even more useless. I'm gonna put it in the Met tier because of it. The last mecha plant is pretty interesting. The Mecha Cocoa Palm. It's a silly name, I know, but a lot of these plants have silly names. It's sort of like a defense plant having 5,000 health. It can't be damaged by the 2 other mecha plants if they explode. Funny enough. It can be attacked by other plants though, and it will generate a coconut because of it. When a portion of its health is lost, a coconut will detonate, dealing damage to not only zombies, but plants for some reason, in a 3x3 area. When it fully dies, all coconuts will blow up. It can also explode upon death and kill plants near it. Yeah, this plant really sucks. I hate to see why anyone would use this plant, at least personally. Is it worth possibly losing some plants? No, it really isn't. I think even if its explosions can be quite effective, there will still be consequences to it detonating. I'm gonna have to put it in bad, not doggy water, because there is a plus to it. You could just keep it far away from other plants. It is a defense plant after all, but even then, no thanks. The Mecha Pea shooter does have an upgrade though. The Mecha Gallantly Pea. I mean, it's pretty much the same plant, except it can fire a barrage of peas. There's really not much to say about it, although I will admit the damage it does is crazy. At the end of the day though, it can still explode your entire lane if plants are killed. It'll go in a tier above its predecessor. We're straying away from the categorical plants temporarily for the next 4 plants. With the Magnet Bombery. I'm gonna be honest, this plant is bad. It's an instant plant that pulls any zombie with metal armor towards the explosion it creates. I don't really see what this is supposed to do particularly. It's not the greatest plant really. I can't see myself using it at all in certain situations. Maybe it's good at bringing certain armored zombies together so you could use a Superman black hole or squash into them now that they're squeezed together. But even then, I believe it's a waste of a seed packet. No offense, Magnet Bombery. I kinda see it as a reverse garlic actually. I already don't like garlic in both PVZ 1 and PVZ 2, especially PVZ 2, so this plant isn't the greatest. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put it in doggy water. Now we have a pulp plant that, believe it or not, is better than melon pulp, I shall say. Dorian pulp. Only an extra 25 sun, its 125 damage Dorian can apply poison to all zombies in an area, slowly dealing damage once it hits. Melon pulp only does 80 damage, meaning the Dorian pulp does an extra 45, on top of the poison. I find myself using Dorian pulp a lot more because of this, though it's hard to ignore winter melon, which still requires melon pulp in this game after all. Therefore, they're tied in a hypothetical ranking. But with that, I'm gonna have to put Dorian pulp in amazing. This game doesn't have much pulp plants compared to melee plants. It's not necessarily a complaint though, I just personally prefer pulp plants compared to any other kind of plants. They're just cool that way. Next up, our first spikeweed related plant, the Oily Lichen. At first I thought it was a spikeweed that does a little bit more damage and reduces movement speed, or something like that. But surprisingly enough, it doesn't do any damage at all. This doesn't mean it's a bad plant though. When a zombie steps on it, it'll literally become oiled up. This plant's a freak. In this state, its movement speed will be reduced, as well as its fire damage and explosion damage resistance. I honestly don't see this as a bad plant. I think you can place this plant on the beginning of the lawn. There's not really a consequence to it after all. It's not like you're putting any other plant on the beginning of the other lawn anyways. It doesn't cost that much either. 100 sun. It's a very simple plant. It'll be going in the okay tier. It doesn't deserve a good tier. It's a freak. We finally have another defense plant. The Devil Nut. It's my favorite defense plant honestly, and I'll explain why. Costing only 50 sun, he has 4,000 health. Though his health isn't what makes it a good plant. That's the same health as Walnut after all. Zombies that chew on him will be cursed, causing their physical resistance to be immensely reduced, leaving them practically vulnerable to anything really. This honestly just makes Walnut and Fern stand pretty bad in comparison. This plant, costing only 50 sun like the others, can leave a lot of the stronger zombies at risk, especially when one of the strongest zombies, like the Dark Knight, can be affected as well. The fact that they get so much more weaker to physical damage is what makes this defense plant stand out. Therefore, it's going in great tier as one of the best defense plants in the game. Now we're introduced to our next category of plants, cosmic plants. These are pretty unique. They're entirely original concepts. Like I've said, some of these plants are from PVZ Heroes, but these in particular are all new, and I think they're great. 4 of these plants can only work when they have cosmic energy, 3 being able to lend energy to these respective plants. I'll rank the 3 that are only for storing and lending cosmic energy, as there's not much to say about each of them, they're pretty simple. Starting off with the Cosmic Flower, it's pretty straightforward. It's a Sandy-Fine Sun plant that provides 1 point of cosmic energy to whatever plant in front of her. It's a pretty simple plant like I've said, not costing too much, with a fast 7-second cooldown time. It's effective I guess, it does what it does. It only stores 1 point of cosmic energy though, as mentioned, and that's a pretty low limit. But I'll put it in okay tier after all. Our next is the Cosmic Bean. I think this plant could be put in the good tier. With the same sun cast as this Cosmic Flower, when placed on top of a Cosmic Plant, it will provide it with 3 points of cosmic energy. I think this synergizes well with Cosmic Flower as they're both quick and easy ways to fill Cosmic Plants up quickly. Cosmic Flower does stay in the lawn and the Cosmic Bean is more of an instant plant, but in my opinion the Cosmic Bean is way faster because its cooldown time is pretty short. And then, lastly, the Cosmic Gourd is the most interesting one out of the 2. costing 50 sun, but it has a 30-second cooldown. It can provide stored cosmic energy to other plants within a 3x3 area, able to store 12 points of energy. This is really useful for certain plants that are extremely dependent on cosmic energy, and this is the cosmic center I use the most out of the three. Great tier. Now for my favorite part. The plants that actually use this cosmic energy that's land. We don't start great though. The Cosmic Apple Saucer. Costing 150 sun, it shoots long-range projectiles that deal 40 damage. When it consumes 1 point of cosmic energy, it shoots a high-damage projectile that will penetrate multiple zombies, able to store up to 3 cosmic energy points. I don't find myself using it as much as the other cosmic plants. I feel like the other cosmic plants really outshine this one. The projectile, even when powered by cosmic points, aren't that worth it and aren't that strong. Using your cosmic energy on this plant in particular is not worth it, especially when it's limited to only 3 points. I'm gonna have to put it in meh tier, unfortunately. Next, we have our first and only defense cosmic plant, the Cosmic Nut. Very interesting name. It has 4,000 health and it's immune to any instant kill when having cosmic energy, limited to 3 points. In summary, it can counter 3 hits from the Gargantuar. Impressive, I know. You can technically stall a lot if you continue refilling it with a Cosmic Gourd or a Cosmic Bean. I'm gonna put it in the great tier, honestly. I personally really like this plant, and I think it's number 2 in the defense plant list, behind the Devil Nut. I can't really ignore the fact that it can avoid instant kill attacks. That's just amazing. Cosmic Melon has a similar issue to the Stream of Thunder. It's way too slow. It can lob melons that deal high damage, 200 to a single tile. It needs to have at least 1 point of cosmic energy though for each melon refill, able to store 3 points just like every other plant mentioned. What's stopping it from being an entirely bad plant though is the fact that it does some heavy damage. Only 5 less damage than Melipult and Dorian Pult combined, which is crazy. It's probably why the movement speed is so slow. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in good. Its lack of speed just really puts it down. Last but unfortunately least, the Cosmic Cub Knot Cannon. It works pretty much like the Coconut Cannon, except it can't shoot unless it has cosmic energy. The more cosmic energy consumed, the more powerful its Cob Knot will be. Its limit being 5 points of cosmic energy. I've never really liked using plants that you have to click on or interact with. I'm always occupied in watching the lawn like it's a Five Nights at Freddy's game that I don't have the time to click plants in order for them to do something. Especially when there are packed groups of zombies, which is very common in this game. So in a way, this plant will be rated immensely out of personal preference. I feel like in order to use its largest power, it takes a bit to really fill it up, no matter who's behind it lending its cosmic energy. I just feel like it requires so much time to plant, with the fact that it costs 300 sun, I just don't see myself using it long term. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put it in meh. At least its 5 point damage is pretty effective, but that's all I can give it. So now we're done with the cosmic energy plants and on to the next. Pinecone. Pinecone is pretty unique, but I don't think he's very good in that factor. When it spawned, all the ground plants within a 3x3 area will be transformed into pine cones as well, for some reason. They fire lasers, dealing 60 damage in a slow speed. I don't think the plant is that good worth transforming all your plants into pine cones. It's just another consequence-inducing plant. Okay tier. Now we have one of the silliest plants in the game. Horn Dog, a plant from PVZ Heroes. It's a cheap 50 sun cost melee plant with a kind of slow speed cycle. But here's what makes it different from the rest. It can jump from one lane above or below if there are zombies on it. I mean, that's pretty cool and works a lot in the beginning of the game, making him a great early control plant. But it's really bad once zombies start swarming in. It does not handle groups very well, and the lane it was originally in is left open, leaving it vulnerable. It's a cool premise, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put him in meh. He's a pretty okay melee plant, there's just so many other good ones. He's a good dog though, just look at him, he's a good dog. The next plant is pretty funny. It's literally the creator, Otaku Radish, in the game, and he's adorable. Similar to the mecha plants, there are consequences to planting him, but benefits too. When planted, it'll automatically give 100 sun, though giving half that sun at night. It's like a gold bloom, costing 0 sun, but here's the consequence. Once planted, it does not go away. It just stays there, like a tumor. It cannot be shoveled and it can only be eaten. And once it is eaten, zombies will be greatly boosted. Yeah, this plant can be considered bad, but I actually found a strategy to using the Otaku Radish. I will put him specifically on the top lane, putting 1 or 2 potato mines on the end of that lawn. I can put as many Otaku Radishes as I want. 5, 4, 3, as much as I need in the beginning of the level. Once a zombie enters that lane, yeah, it'll grow in size, speed, etc., but it will immediately die when reaching the end of the lawn, no matter if it's boosted with the potato mines planted in the beginning. There's still cons to this. If there are multiple zombies in the lane, consider me cooked. Although I usually use this strategy just in the beginning of the game. I'll put it in good tier. It's a good early plant for sun, but I will not see myself using it after that. Now for Rescue Radish. I'm going to be honest, I completely forgot this plant even existed. I haven't used him at all, that once I reach him in the almanac, I had to go back into the game and play him a few times to see what he really does. It has two mechanics. It attacks a zombie at a close range, dealing a high 100 damage. That's 20 more than Melonpo for reference, in a slow speed. Its second mechanic is pretty interesting. When planted on a ground plant, it will remove that plant and fully recharge its seed packet. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know why you would do this. I guess if you had a spare potato mine that you want to replace and put him somewhere else. But this plant just reminds me of Intensive Carrot. Although believe it or not, you'd be surprised that Intensive Carrot isn't necessarily all that bad for certain scenarios, like with Hit Mushroom or Old Tomato. But anyways, I just don't see myself using this plant when there are so many other close range better plants to use. Its high damage does put it up a tier though, putting it in okay. I also forgot to mention you can also use an Otaku Radish to make it disappear. Next up, we have a plant previously from PVZ 2, but kind of reworked in this game. The Ghost Pepper. It's still a temporary plant, but it's not the type to scare the zombie in front of it or behind it. It introduces the concept of souls. It'll use souls to attack every zombie in front of it or behind it, dealing 20 damage each hit. It collects more souls once a zombie is defeated, and once all her souls disappear, she will disappear as well. This is definitely a little different from its respective game it originated from. It's definitely less simplified now, which I don't think is a bad thing at all. I really like the idea of collecting more souls once it defeats a zombie. It's creative, and I love creative plants. In terms of using it in the lawn, even if I don't find myself using it that much as other plants, similar to Rescue Radish, I low-key forgot she was in the game, but the constant 20 damage can take care of the lower health zombies, especially in the crowds. Good tier. Misty Blue is technically one of those plants that have a negative when placed on the lawn, but at the same time, it's a wonderful plant. It shoots slow, 50 damage ice thorns to attack zombies, piercing through groups in the lane. These thorns will chill enemies, and once a chill zombie is defeated, it will produce a freeze blast, freezing all zombies within a 3x3 area. The consequence, like I mentioned, is that it can chill all its plants around her, with all chilled units taking an additional 50 damage as long as she's chilling other plants. Unfortunately, this prevents me from putting it in the amazing tier, but the fact that it's one of the only plants that can chill zombies that provides no P, and on top of that, it's a piercing damage is great. It can create frost blats once defeating zombies as well, ending up in the great tier. The next is one of our second only fire plant, apart from Dragon Cannon and another one I'll mention later. The Inflamed Grass. It is kind of slow, but only costing 150 sun. It sprays close range flames to attack zombies in front and behind him, dealing 120 damage, which is a lot for a 150 sun plant, I'd say. Like I mentioned with Rescue Radish, there are a lot of close range plants in the game that a lot of them further on in the plant section is almost masked by the other bitter plants like Snake Grass or Tiger Lily. This plant in particular though, I gotta say, I do like it a lot purely because of its easy damage. I think it falls flat for zombies like Gargantuars or zombies like an instant kill, which is just a big problem for close range plants in general. But I'll put this plant in the good tier. Great damage, just too slow to be able to defeat larger zombies up close. Wildflower is another melee plant, and not one I particularly like. It deals 50 damage, which is kind of slow, and every now and then using special attacks. To put it blunt, there's already too many better melee plants, and I don't really have much to say about him. But Venture can shorten his cooldown attack, but I'd rather use other melee plants like mentioned. Mid tier. Time for our next amazing tier plant. The Ancient Banana. This is my favorite unique plant in Beautiful Town, and here's why. When starting a level, you're unable to use it at all. You can't place it, click it, nothing. It cannot be used until 20 zombies have been killed with bite attacks. And once that's done, the Ancient Banana seed packet will be replaced with the Bananasaurus Rex, another dinosaur. See the trend of how much I love dinosaur plants here? Once it's clicked, a large Bananasaurus Rex will appear in the lawn, patrolling back and forth and destroying all enemies on its way, dealing 2,000 damage as well as having 4,000 health. It can be used as much as you want, just as long as you perform 20 bite attacks. It's a wonderful plant to use in the more heavy, harder levels. Like I mentioned, when there's difficult zombies, there are harder plants. With that, I'm going to put it in amazing tier as my favorite plant in the game. We went from an amazing plant to an immediate downgrade. That's Seedling. Oof, this one's oof. Costing 25 sun. When placed, after a period of time, it will transform to a random non-upgrade ground plant seed packet from your deck. Yeah, I'm gonna say it now, this plant is doggy water. You can't depend on randomization in your lawn. And the fact that it takes a period of time to actually transform to a plant, with the ceiling only having 300 health too, we went from my favorite plant to my second least favorite plant. Doggy water, I'm sorry. At least Blood Reef still stays as my worst plant. Poison Oak is Tum Tangler, but good. A 200 sun cost, 1000 health plant that sprays a poisonous mist that penetrates all zombies in front of its tile, poisoning all the targets forward. This poison will reduce movement speed, attack power, and poison damage resistant, also dealing a small amount of damage over time as well. Its offense isn't great, so I'm gonna treat it like a defense plant. I think it's good. Its health is a little too low for a defense plant, so if there are swarms of zombies, no matter the reduction of speed, power, or resistance, the overwhelming groups of zombies will still be able to kill it with ease. This doesn't mean it's not a good plant in the early part of the game though, especially when some of these particular levels send over stronger zombies in the beginning of the game, forcing you to place defense or insta-kill plants early. What makes this better than Tum Tangler is that it reduces a lot of factors. It doesn't need to be placed in graves, although there aren't any graves in this game anyway. I'll put it in good tier. Next in our list we have the Score Poison Grass. Similar to Peepotro, it does both slow melee damage or long range piercing damage, 60 to be exact. It does cost a lot, 400, and like I've said many times, I really don't like high sun cost plants, but this is a great example of a high sun cost plant that's worth it. These attacks apply special poison to all damaged zombies. Enemies with this special poison will explode upon death, dealing damage to all zombies within a 3x3 area. Versatile, high-powered, and can instant kill depending on the situation. It'd be foolish not to put it in the amazing tier. On the topic of amazing plants, the Solura is another wonderful plant that for some reason I didn't really find myself using until I found out how amazing it really is. Costing 300 sun, it provides different bonuses depending on the plant within the 5x5 area. Male plants gain 25% damage resistance, female plants gain 20% damage bonus, and flowers gain 25% speed bonus. I don't know what it is about genders with this plant or tiger grass, but I suppose it's variation. Like said, I love these plants that provide bonus like this. It fills the lawn when you have your offense and some plants all done and provides extra help, giving it this high tier it has now. And now, our last fire plant, the Crown Inferno. This is one of the most high cost plants, costing 500 sun. I think it's considered a good plant, but dare I say, I don't think it's amazing. I think it's strictly a good plant, and I'll explain why. So how it works is that you're meant to click and drag to any desired position, sending a firestorm that slowly moves forward, attacking enemies in a 3x3 area. So, its cons. It takes a long time to cool down, and it, costs 500 sun. Only does 100 damage, which is a lot technically, but for its cost, not really. Not like it's a bad plant though, I just think there are more expensive plants that are better, like the one after this. Soul Patch. He's pretty good, at least in my opinion. It uses a regenerative shield to protect itself and it will attack the largest size enemy in the lane, dealing 300 damage. When you click it, it will switch to its defensive state, in which he's able to use a shield to take damage in place of all friendly ground plants on its lane. Its shield has 10,000 armor, which I gotta say, that's impressive. Its defense is pretty effective, and offense-wise, the fact that it can take care of the larger zombies while other plants can handle the others is very, very good. At least in my eyes. It does cost 400 sun, which again, another turnoff for me, especially when it has a 50-second cooldown. I'll put it beside the Crown Inferno. They both have their issues, but I gotta say, Soul Patch is more effective with its 10,000 health defense. This is officially it for all Beautiful Town's plants. That was honestly a lot, and this video took a while to make. So if you want, please drop a like and subscribe. Comment too, as I love hearing your guys' thoughts and opinions. This is honestly a great game, and all these plants are pretty unique. Even the bad ones at least have some sort of complexity to them. I think the trophy for first place goes with the ancient banana / Bananasaurus Rex. I love the idea of animal-themed plants, and I feel like it's not only effective in the lawn with its high damage and defense, it's adorable and the most memorable of the game as well. The bowl of dog water has to go to Blood Reef. The idea of a plant just slowly taking out HP in exchange for what? A little bit of speed? Yeah, no. Sorry, Blood Reef. At least its design is pretty cool, if I had to give it some sort of praise. There are lists of upgrades for certain plants as well, but I'm probably gonna make a separate part for them as there's a lot to talk about them, surprisingly enough. That's about it, guys. See you.